How's it going, guys? We've been getting a lot of requests to make breakfast food, so today we're going to make some breakfast waffles. Although this was filmed at 8 p.m, so for us they ended up being dinner or dessert waffles. For the batter, you will need a half teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1.5 cups of 2% milk, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, not soda, 3 large eggs, preferably not cracked, 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 7 tablespoons or a third cup of vegetable oil. I also added about a capful of vanilla, and I was going to add cinnamon to one of them, but ended up forgetting at the end. To top our waffles, I used whipped cream, both regular and bourbon maple syrup, chocolate chips, and an assortment of fruit. From left to right, we have bananas, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, and 2 peaches. To go with the waffles, I also ended up cooking up some bacon and sausages. To create our batter, add our dry ingredients to a large bowl, starting by sifting in our flour. While this isn't completely necessary, it will help the batter stay smooth when it comes time to mix it. Next, add in your baking powder. I ended up sifting it because the sieve was already out, but it didn't really do much, to be honest. Add in your salt and sugar and give the dry ingredients a good mix. From there, you are going to separate your eggs from their yolks. This can kind of be tricky to do and can also be done by pouring it into your fingers. If you break a yolk though, it's no big deal. Just grab a fresh egg and try and fish out as much of the yolk as you can from the egg white. I ended up breaking a yolk here. I just had the luxury of editing it out. Once separated, you are going to want to whip the ever-living crap out of the egg whites until they form stiff peaks. If you have a hand mixer, you definitely want to use it here. I apparently felt like I had something to prove and spent way too much time doing it by hand. Holy man. Basically, all we are doing here is introducing a bunch of air into the egg whites. You'll know you've reached stiff peaks when you remove the whisk and the egg whites stand up straight, forming a peak. Now that all that is done, we can go ahead and introduce our wet ingredients. Start by adding our 1 3/4 cup of milk, one-third of a cup of olive oil, our 3 separated egg yolks, and a capful of vanilla. Once all the wet ingredients have been poured in, mix the batter well until there are no more lumps. This is where you'll really thank yourself for sifting the flour earlier. Once combined, go ahead and fold in our whipped egg whites. You want to be gentle here so that the eggs don't become deflated. And as soon as everything looks combined, stop mixing. Into your preheated waffle iron, add just over a half of a cup of our batter. I was following the recipe which said a full half cup, and the waffles ended up not filling out the whole iron, so I would even go closer to a third of a cup. You should also make sure to spray the iron with cooking oil beforehand. I forgot to on the first one. Thankfully it turned out okay, but I would make sure to do it in the future as a precaution. A good indicator of when the waffle is done is steam will stop coming out of the sides of the waffle iron. Once the first waffle is done, go ahead and get another one started before adding toppings. To the first waffle, I started by spreading butter, which ended up being pretty controversial. It's good if you ask me. This is optional and won't make or break the waffle.
That's disgusting.
I want butter.
For the fruit on this one, I ended up slicing up some peach and adding in some raspberries on the side. To finish it off, I sifted some icing sugar across the top and added a dollop of whipped cream. Okay, let's be honest, it's more of a mountain. For our next waffle, I started by adding blueberries with one in every hole at the request of the cameraman.
Literally the perfect amount of blueberries.
Next, I added some strawberries and blackberries, once again finishing with some sifted icing sugar. And as if this wasn't going to reduce your lifespan already, I drizzled bourbon maple syrup on top and added bacon and sausage on the side. For the final waffle, I opted for half strawberry, half banana with some chocolate chips sprinkled on top. Because this is the one I would be eating, I ignored previous comments and based mine with butter. To finish it off, I used some of our icing sugar, a couple of sprays of whipped cream, a drizzle of the bourbon maple syrup, and some sausages on the side. Let me know in the comment section which one you think looked the best, and if you came up with any good tasting topping combinations, I would love to hear them. As always, feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.